Africa's elections crisis, why power rarely changes hands. Well, my friends, welcome back to the Ari Talk channel, where we give a voice and celebrate your impact. Africa is one of the youngest continents in the world. Over 60% of Africans are under the age of 25. Yet, many African leaders are in their 60s, 70s, and even 90s. And most of them keep winning elections over and over. So today, we ask a simple but uncomfortable question. Are African elections really choosing leaders or just renewing the same power over and over? From Cameroon to Tanzania, from Uganda to Guinea, Africa has just come through one of its busiest election cycles in years. And many of them were very controversial, disputed, violently contested. This is the story of Africa's election crisis. Cameroon 2025, 4 decades of power. Let's look at that. Let's start with Cameroon. In October of 2025, Cameroon held its presidential election. President Paul Biya, a 92 years old and in power since 1982, was declared winner again. I mean, can you imagine? 92 years old. That is over 40 years in office. Official results said he won with about 54% of the vote. But his main challenger, Issa Kairoma, rejected the results. Protests broke out in cities like Douala and Yode. Security forces clashed with demonstrators. People were arrested. Some were reportedly killed. Even more controversial than we can ever think. A strong opposition figure, Maurice Kamto, was barred from contesting earlier in the year. For many Cameroonians, the election felt decided way before voting even began. Cameroon didn't just hold an election, it confirmed an older order. In Tanzania 2025, elections without choice. Tanzania held a general election, but most major opposition parties were barred from participating in this election. No real competition, no real alternatives. After results were announced, protests erupted across the nation. Security forces responded with force. Rights groups reported dozens, possibly hundreds were dead. When an election removes opposition, it stops being a democratic contest. It becomes a formality. Voting happens, but choices disappears. In Uganda 2026, in this current year, which is the longest campaign, this January, Uganda held its general election. President Yoweri Museveni, in power since 1986, was declared winner again and again since 1986. That's nearly 40 years in the office. The main challenger, Bobi Wine, rejected the result. He alleged fraud, intimidation, arrest, and internet shutdown. Security forces surrounded opposition areas. Activists were detained in hundreds. Media operations were restricted. Once again, Uganda showed a familiar African pattern. Long-serving leaders don't lose elections. They only extend their time. In Guinea and Guinea-Bissau, when ballots meet coups, December 2025 was supposed to mark a return to civilian rule after a military coup. But the election faced criticism, limited opposition, weak monitoring. A former military ruler winning by a landslide. In Guinea-Bissau, things went even further. An election was held in November 2025, and days later, military intervened. The results were annulled. The president-elect was removed from office, so the election didn't fail at the ballot box. It failed at gunpoint. Now let's look at the exception. Not all African leaders failed. In Seychelles, in 2025 elections were very competitive. Opposition won. Power changed hands peacefully. No violence, no court battles, no military intervention, which proves something important. Africa doesn't lack democracy. It lacks consistent democratic culture embedded in Africans. Why this keeps happening? So what are the connections? Cameroon, Tanzania, Uganda, and Guinea. 4 things are very common. Leaders who stay in power too long don't want to leave. Electoral bodies controlled by the state. Security forces loyal to government and not loyal to citizens. Weak courts and limited independent oversights. Therefore, in many African countries, the referee works for but one team. The stadium belongs to one player, and the final score is known before kickoff. What an amazing analogy. However, elections exist, but accountability does not exist. So going forward, Nigeria 2027, there's a big warning. Nigeria goes to the pool again in 2027. Africa's largest democracy, Africa's largest population. And already, warning signs are visible. Politicians defecting across parties, court battles over party structures, money politics growing louder, voter apathy increasing, especially among youth. Therefore, if Nigeria is not careful, it would follow the same path. Elections without trust, result without legitimacy, power without accountability. And when elections lose credibility, democracy becomes just ordinary decoration. So what is next? The controversial elections we've seen across Africa, from Cameroon to Uganda, Tanzania to Guinea. What does it tell us? It tells us something deeper than just bad voting processes. They tell us our democratic systems are still very fragile, easily manipulated and captured by those already in power who do not want to give up their luxury lives. When elections become rituals instead of rich voices, democracy starts to lose its meaning. Leadership becomes entitlement. Politics become a lifetime appointment, and citizens are left voting in systems that rarely listen to them. So the real question isn't just about one country or one election. It is about all of us. Are we building societies where leaders are truly accountable, or societies where elections simply recycle among the same elites? Can Africa create a future where political success is measured by peaceful transitions, strong institutions, and leaders who can actually accept losing? So my friends, tell us what you think in the comments. Are Africans' elections improving or just getting better at looking very democratic? And if this video made you think, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the AdiTalk channel. We are here to make complex African issues easy to understand. Because in a continent this young, the future still depends on what we are willing to demand, not just what we are willing to vote for. So stay tuned as we say goodbye. See you again.